Good afternoon to everyone to all of you joining us from Europe. Good evening to everyone who's east of Europe, and a very early good morning to those who are joining us from America. In case you didn't hear earlier, we are recording the event today, so also a warm welcome to those who are watching us on demand. Welcome all to the 12th instalment of our Vynners Community Masterclass. I hope you're all excited. My name is Hattie. I'm one of the UK directors from Vyn, and I'll be your host today. So we are having some technical challenges to the chat, so we're going to do live Q&A later on. But if you want to just raise your hand, hopefully you can see that icon. When Vineet comes to the Q&A, we will unmute you and you'll be able to ask your question live. Normally we ask you to type in your name and say hello, but we'll just have to try and do that during the Q&A as well. So welcome all, let's get started. I will move us on to the agenda. So I will recap on what the purpose of the Vynners community event is about. And then we'll move quickly on to the most exciting part of the event, really, which is hearing from our star speakers, the conversations with Merida Roque from Talent and Michele Ronco from Enel. After that, we will summarise that with wrapping up their top tips. Intelligence capabilities enable you to change the way you work, which is how you achieve such great improvements in productivity. But any change, small or large, must be managed well. So hopefully you'll hear some top tips on how to get those changes embedded quickly and those goals achieved across your customer and your field workflows. Following on from that, Vineet will be leading the live Q&A session. So put your hand up as people are talking and we'll come to you at the end. It's an open session. Please don't be shy in asking questions. We only do this once a quarter, so it's a great opportunity to get to speak to some clients who have got some hands-on experience of deploying, embedding Vyn into those workflows. And then finally, we will hand out our Star Vynner Awards to those that have been very successful with Vyn as well. And we actually have our own CEO today. Kapil is the special guest, and he will be taking the honours of presenting those awards. Okay, that's the agenda. Hopefully no questions on that. So it's always worth just taking a second to recap on why do we hold the Vynners community event? Why does our marketing team put in a lot of effort on pulling this together? And it's simply to share knowledge and to enable people to learn from one another. All of us at Vyn love telling stories, especially our customer success stories. We have a lot to tell. However, you just can't beat hearing it from those who've actually taken our capabilities in-house and embedded them into their own organizations, the processes and the achievement that they've managed to realize from that. We're all constantly learning and gaining new insights on how innovation helps us excel in driving efficiencies, changing what we do, delivering customer success and delighting them in the process. So this Vynner community is the forum where we ask you as members and of our community to come together to learn and share, and ultimately to all succeed. Even if you're in different industries, there's always cross-learning opportunities to be had. So today's session is primarily focused on how we can use Vyn to lower inspection costs and boost asset visibility. Assets are absolutely critical to operations and delivering services. So how can we use video and AI intelligence to help improve the cost of inspection and understanding of our asset health? However, I don't ever see any harm in bringing up any other ideas or questions or even challenges. So please ask questions when the time is right. So the final thing I want to do before I hand over to Mel is just say thank you. This event gives us the opportunity to say thank you to those on the ground who've invested their time in working with us to embed Vyn. Our success is your success. So this is what we come to work for, and it's always great fun working with the teams. So thanks in advance for our star Vynners. I know I've worked with a few of you personally, and it's been great to see what you've managed to achieve so quickly as well. So the final thing I'll say is just a recap on Vyn's overall purpose. So our core values are to simplify business operations, bring agility and efficiency at work, and embrace safety and sustainability. So if you ever think we're not talking about anything that's going to achieve that, please let us know, because we've fallen off the path a bit. We help the busy professionals simplify their work life by enabling the collection of visual data and delivering that insight across any team, organization, or functions. And we always strive to remove the challenges of spread out operations, organizations, and assets by enabling communication between these groups of people. Our community spans across 20 countries. So thanks once again for all of you being here, especially those who have got up early or those who are staying back late to hear from us. So now I'm going to hand over to Mel, who will be speaking to Marie from Talent First. Do you want me to stop sharing, Mel? Oh, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Hattie. So it's a great pleasure. I'm Melissa Kennedy. I'm part of the customer success team here at Vintelligence, and I have the pleasure of interviewing or having a conversation with our two star speakers today. We'll start with Mayreed O'Rourke, Senior Project Manager at Talent. A little bio introduction. Mayreed joined Talent 2.5 years ago as a project manager to lead on the delivery of installation services for the delivery of vehicle installation services in the journey to upgrade 6,000 ambulances with new communications equipment across England and Wales. She has been a strong change champion in that time across the function, pushing for innovation. Mayreed is always up for an adventure, whether it's exploring new places or diving into a spicy recipe. And if it makes your eyes water, it's perfect. Her words: cooking is her happy place, where she loves experimenting with flavors to share with her family and friends. Family time is everything for her, and recently she's got into paddle and is loving the fun and friendly competition. And when she needs a bit of escapism, she can always count on the Housewives Bravo franchise for a guilty pleasure. So welcome, Mayreed.
On mute.
Can you hear me, Mayreed?
I can hear you. Hi.
Lovely. So great to see you again. We've been speaking several times in the last few weeks, and we would love to hear from you. So tell me, what were some of the challenges that catalyzed the need for change in Talent?
So I think really, I mean, you've already said, the goal was to upgrade the mobile communications equipment in ambulances in the UK and Wales. So in that environment, every second counts. And the push for change really came directly from the customer's needs. They were very specific to the ambulance and operational environment. So, as an example, when we started, we anticipated that there would be 11 installation sites nationally across England and Wales. But as we went through a requirements gathering exercise with each of the ambulance trusts, it became clear that the scale of the operation was much bigger than we'd anticipated. So we thought we were looking at 11 installation sites. The reality is that it was more like 60 sites. And that was because of the operational ways of working with each of the trusts and the release of vehicles and things. So that drastic expansion of scope for us really meant that we needed a larger and more agile team to meet the project's demands. We had to think about our approach to installations, how we could optimize them without sacrificing the quality. That's really important. So really, as a business then, we were looking at the multiple tools that we had in place. In some cases, engineers would have had to resort to paper forms, multiple systems, multiple logins, and just real inefficiencies for each install. That would have meant extra time to consolidate all of that information, paperwork, administration. It's an administration overhead for engineers. So really the driving force for us in terms of that innovation was really clear. We needed a single integrated tool and we found that in Vin.
Fantastic. And I remember you shared with me one of your biggest challenges was the changing scope. Maybe you can talk us through a little bit about what was that changing scope in terms of what was the expectations and then what was the reality when you started the project, and how has it been, this experience of championing change within the organization?
So in terms of that change in scope, it was the scale of the operation, which was the biggest thing. So going from 11 install sites nationally, so essentially 11 engineering teams, to circa 60 at the height of the project. We had 34 installation sites running across England. So that's, in excess of 70 engineers daily working on installations, having to provide asset information, commissioning checks for the vehicles, etc. And it wouldn't have been sustainable for us to work in the way that we were previously working with, so many different systems. In terms of the rollout of Vin, I think, both challenging and exciting. So initially there was some resistance, as you expect with change. Some team members, they were accustomed to ways of working within talent, but also for us on this project, we had a real mix of internal contractors and external contractors. So it was really important to ensure that everybody was working in the same way, that it was standardized, that we were getting the same quality of information from everybody. I remember one of the pilot installs that we did, which was like a test install. We were using paper forms, and what we found and observed is that people were skipping through the checks, because you can, right? It's a tick box and nobody's auditing and making sure that actually you've done that. So that the introducing Vin really helped overcome this and gave us that assurance that we were going to get the right quality. I think then as we rolled out Vin and scaled up the operation, we spent a lot of time on customer sites with the engineers, with the customer. Really wanted to understand what their experience was like, and took that back in to Vin. And you worked with us really well to make changes that we needed very dynamically. One example is, we needed to change, or an engineer had suggested that we change the order of the checks so that they weren't having to go and repeat a check in the same area of the vehicle at a later stage. So, again, it's like optimizing that efficiency and workflow. And that was really powerful. I think that the engineers on the ground and the field supervisors had a voice and could feed back in any observations that they had. So I think as the end users started using Vin and really seeing the value that it added to them, in that it made their jobs easier, they weren't having to work with different systems, that everything was captured in one tool. We really saw that they embraced it. From a customer perspective, they absolutely loved the transparency that they had through the tool, which they hadn't had previously.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So you talked that Vin, you noticed the value of Vin.
Mm-hmm.
And how is the implementation of this new innovation contributing to your costs and the overall strategy, would you say?
So cost-wise, in terms of tangible benefits, we've been able to reduce the need for physical inspections. So that comes with significant financial savings for us. So we've been able to cut back on travel and manual data collection, the labour associated with, on-site supervision. So we're looking at around £250,000 in terms of cost savings to date. Reduction, in travel mileage. So we've reduced the need for unnecessary travel, again, by being able to do those audits remotely. So, that's cost savings on fuel, vehicle wear and tear, but also the environmental impact. So, in terms of stats, we're looking at 111,000 miles, 111,000 miles saved. So really, really powerful numbers.
Mm-hmm. And, I know you're very passionate about changes and championing innovation and driving change. What would you like to share about that?
So I think I've probably always been driven to challenge established processes, ask the why, and explore kind of how we can improve. I think on this journey, it's been really rewarding to see, engineers, field supervisors kind of shift from, why are we doing this? Why are we working differently? To really embracing Vin. So it started off, as something that we used to meet the customer requirements. And actually now it's evolved into something that we're using for a much wider use case. So it's not just the installations now, we'll be using Vin for the ongoing support and maintenance. It's given us, visibility that we didn't have previously, efficiency that we didn't have previously. So, it's really rewarding to watch how team members, and key stakeholders then see the power of Vin and actually bring forward their own ideas, like really embracing it to kind of further enhance our offering. And ultimately it leads to continuous improvement, looking at better ways to operate, and that for me is really, really rewarding. And we've all got a shared commitment to innovation. So that's kind of what's driven me.
Wonderful. And what are your top tips that you like to share with the audience and
So
power?
seeking like active feedback, so real engagement, beyond surveys. It requires being in the field, talking to the end users, really understanding their needs, how things can improve for them in the ground, the environment that they're working in, also. So that's definitely right up there. Setting goals, I'd think big. Create the wish list. If you could have everything that you wanted, and don't necessarily worry about the immediate constraints. I think that's been really important. If I'd have thought about all the constraints, in the beginning, and not the wish list, we probably wouldn't be where we were. So that's been really powerful. And then I think finally just kind of embracing incremental change. So, big transformation, it doesn't happen overnight. And what we found is that working kind of in an iterative manner, it helps bring on board the stakeholders and really get the buy-in, build the trust. And then it makes that change a lot easier to introduce later on.
Excellent. Now, when we spoke last week, you actually shared with me a question that you help, teams to unlock that wish list. Do you remember that?
A question.
Yes, you said, if you could have anything, right? It was something like that line. What was it?
If I could have anything.
You said if you could have, when you started saying, when you were asking people for the wish list, I think the question was, what would you do if you had no limits? So what would you do if you could have anything? Which was obvious, but it may not be obvious to all of our audience. So I just wanted to leave with that because for me, that was such an insightful question. So whenever you come into a change championing moment, get your team to say, okay, if there were no barriers, if there were no limits, and you could do anything, what would be that wish list? So wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Mayreed. Anything else you'd like to share, or can we move on to the next speaker?
No, happy for you to move on to the next. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now we move on. Let's welcome Michele Ronco from Enel.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Michele. Great to see you. So Michele is the Construction Innovation and Technology Engineer at Enel Green Power. He's joining us very early morning from the US. Thank you very much for joining us, Michele. Michele joined Enel in 2022. After 20 years, he spent working in high-power lasers manufacturing and train assembly industry, so incredibly technical, covering different positions in quality assurance, manufacturing engineering, production, and operations management. So today in Enel, he's part of the construction team, and he uses the experience he gained over the years to drive process improvement and lean strategy, including adoption of new technologies such as Vin and innovative solutions. So at Enel, he championed the full adoption of intelligence, and he supported the overhaul of the budgeting strategy with a more cost-effective workload allocation. So great to see you again, Michele. I'll start similar with Mary.
Yep.
So what were some of the challenges that catalyzed the need for change at Enel?
Sure. So just to contextualize, we build power plants, right? Renewable energy power plants across the United States. Projects range between 200, 400 millions. And back up to 2019, the project, we contract out all the works to contractors. So what we do, we make sure that contractors stay within safety, budget, cost, and quality. And we were doing that up to 2019 with a big presence on site of our own people, plus all the supporting functions guiding the team on sites through travel, right? Then COVID happened. That disrupted the industry in many ways. Supply chain, generated inflation, cost of material went up, the interest rates went up, so the cost of borrowing capital went up. So how could you, and basically disrupted the team, where before the visibility across the organization on what was going on in the projects was done through presence, first-hand experience, through the people on site and through constant physical interaction between the management, the support functions, traveling to sites, and the people on site. So COVID really disrupted the industry. The higher cost of borrowing disrupted the industry. The higher cost of material disrupted the industry. So how could you do the same or more with less resources, right? You have less resources available. The team had to be reduced on site. People could not travel anymore. And you lose visibility. So how also do you regain the visibility and the data from the field that needs to be accurate? And that's how basically Vin helped us to bridge those gaps that the pandemic and everything that came after that brought to our business. And so Vin was definitely a key tool to regain visibility and bring the teams back together, right? The capability to customize the checklist we want to do, the capability to basically on a regular basis interact and see what people on site can see, because we could not physically go on site anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I think in our conversation, much like Mary, you also had the same journey of bringing the people on the ground and, having that change management accompanying them. What has been your experience in that?
So the change management is always difficult, especially when the environment around you changes, and you on top of that you need to change the organization, right? So people can digest so much change at once. So we definitely embraced one of the most popular change management strategy, which is the ADKAR model, where you build awareness, you build a desire, you give people knowledge, and then you build the ability and reinforce the change, right? So through a strong sponsorship by the top management in the adoption of new tools, in order to make aware everybody in the organization how disconnected we became, right? Because we had to change the way we were working. People were at home. They needed to be able to do the same job as before, regain the visibility, adopt new tools. People usually are always skeptical when they need to adopt new tools, right? But Vin is very user-friendly, is very there's a streamlined approach, and it's easy to give in the hands of people in the field. You need to build the knowledge of a lot of new hires, because we are in an industry where you have a high turnover, so you need to make sure that you always keep everybody at the same level. And one of the things Vin helped us tremendously with, and I don't know if you are able to show the slide I have.
Yes,
Where we basically leveraged in an unexpected way. When we adopted Vin, the primary driver was to standardize the work across all the sites, make sure we could gain through video the visibility of how our inspectors were doing and how the contractor was doing. As I said, you need to be able to have reliable data, and you cannot improve unless you can measure, right? So, and in order to measure the contractor, we had to measure ourselves first, right? What's effective, what works, what doesn't, right? To drive efficiency and continuous improvement. So in this chart, basically, you can see every line represents the performance over time of our inspectors on site. So when we started, we basically developed a sort of, we leveraged Vin, the video, all the knowledge we were gaining, all the video, as both a training tool, like a wiki, but also a way to evaluate the quality of the inspection on our inspectors. So we could tell who was the mastering the inspections and who had the best knowledge and who needed more help. So on the left, you could see basically the quality. We were rating each inspection through a scale of silver through platinum. And so all the support team who before could be on site and evaluate the person, the performance of the people, could do that remotely. So we established an evaluation system and actually a training system after that. On the left, you can see how the quality of our inspector was basically scattered all over the spectrum. After 6 months of constant reviewing of the inspection and targeted training, right? So we were able to make develop a very effective training program, because we knew who needed most help. So we did not need to drag people who had the knowledge into training sections that were not adding value to them, actually annoying them and create a loss an opportunity, but actually leverage the best inspectors in the field to be trainers on the job, and being able to basically level up the overall quality of everybody. You can see after 6 months how everybody's quality improved, and we reduced the variability as far as the performance of all the people in the field. So Vin started to as a tool to pretty much digitalize our checklist, standardized, and in turn into also an evaluation tool, a training tool, so a tool really to manage the quality and efficiency of the performance of our supervisors.
Thank you, Michele. This is very interesting. I think anyone that has had to drive change in an organization knows how hard it is to get that kind of results within 6 months, that level of standardization, the collaboration, and the visibility that you were able to give to the whole team as to what good looked like and how they could get there, and accompany them through the training. How about how do you feel the implementation of this in terms of contributing to your costs and overall strategy? Anything you'd like to share on that?
Sure. So as part of as I said, the cost of the borrowing money, the cost of material went up. You cannot really control that. So what can you control? You control the cost of your labor, right? How can you do more with less? How can you, as more projects come into the pipeline, you don't over hire, right? Because we used to have big teams. How do you make an effective use of your resources? So what we did, different from the past, through more visibility of how the inspection were conducted, how were performed, attaching a timestamp to the application. So Vin can basically track automatically when you finish an application. That is a tremendous value because you can do a time study and you can see, okay, here is how much time is taking to do this inspection. This is the value of the inspection. So why am I doing this? Right? So you drive efficiency and with the same resources, drop this inspection that is not really adding value. And actually, we're not doing enough of this other inspection. And so the visibility from a visual and from a time study standpoint allowed us to really drive better, changing, breaking the old habits or doing always the same, but actually no. Stop doing this because it doesn't add value. Focus on what really adds value. And by doing that, you really run leaner, more efficiently. We reduce the need for workforce for the future projects, and actually, as a ballpark, if before for typical projects you're talking about 2.5 million in cost between labor, travel cost. We were able to budget for future project around 1.2 million. So basically, you cut your cost of between labor and travel in half, which is significant because again, the cost of capital goes up and the travel cost also go up. So it was a significant help in pursuing basically efficiency from a cost standpoint and from a sustainability standpoint. We need to travel less.
Yeah.
People gain better work-life balance, right? And also the people in the office can do more with less because the time they saved by traveling, now they can do other things. So it freed up additional resources of people in the office. And actually, it created additional visibility for people who once did not have that. Because some of the functions, especially engineering, were not used to travel to sites so much. And we're missing out on certain data. Having Vin and the ability to share what was going on in the field, also with engineering, basically open up new possibilities for them to learn more, right? So actually, it had this unexpected benefit to actually bring people who are not used to travel in a way to virtually travel to site, right? Without losing for the others who used to travel that visibility.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Michele. So any final top tips or thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience? I mean, you bring such great experience in this change management. Anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
I would say it's always hard to change habits, right? So it's always it's easier to lose a good habit than to create a new habit, right? And so one thing that has been successful for us to make Vin have been fully adopted and to stick is we create a sort of a routine. All the stakeholders, all the people we wanted to use Vin had basically a daily activity to do in the platform. So the supervisor had to conduct the inspection at least one daily. The site managers had to assign activities daily and review daily the results of the inspection, right, to drive the quality of the contractor. The support staff also had to review, to evaluate the quality, as you saw in the chart, to evaluate the quality so they knew who needed additional training. And other functions in the company also had to look at the dashboards or other aspects of the platform, basically physically having a button to also increase the accountability across the team. So that really forced everybody to get to use the application. It helped tremendously at the beginning. And then it became a habit because it became a daily activity that you do normally. You review your data every day, and that definitely helped with the reinforcement of the change and the adoption of the platform.
Thank you very much, Michele. Thank you for having this early start to your day to join us, and
Sure.
have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're now going to just share a couple of slides with some of the top tips that both Mayreed and then Michele shared with us. I won't go into every single point, but we'll share with you, because if you want to do a quick screen grab, or if you're watching this later on, you have a copy of this as well. But here you have some of the top tips from Mayreed. I'll just read the highlights. So be proactive about the feedback, and she gives us some additional thoughts on that. Create the wish list. So remember asking the users, what could you be if there were no limits or barriers in your mind? If you could have anything, I think that's what she said. If you could have anything at all, like your Christmas wish list to Santa Claus, just like kids, what would that be? And allow people to be very creative and open-minded, and then be able to understand what those lists could be. Stay persistent and patient. Build confidence through visible wins. So small things, small changes, small wins, celebrate those, and engage stakeholders iteratively. So, over and over again, keep asking the question, how's it been? How's the change being implemented? Over to Michele's top tips. So here, give stakeholders a reason to change. Communication, very, very important. Make sure you're aligning with everybody's goals to the company's goals. Assign daily tasks for accountability. You can see here he comes from a lean perspective. So making sure everybody's very clear on their specific role, and allowing people to have feedback. So again, the communication comes in here. Having feedback of, what's the change they're expected to deliver, what's the standard that they're in right now, and where's the gap, so that people can improve and they know exactly what they're working towards. And finally, promote a strong sponsorship from top management. Very important to have top management to sponsor the important change in the organization. I'll hand over to Vineet. Vineet is our leader in customer success, and he's going to handle all the Q&A session. Vineet, you're here? Can you hear us? Can you speak? Are you unmuted?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes,
So
indeed.
over
Thanks.
to you, Vineet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Marie, and thank you, Michele. Lovely to hear the great insights, and I'm super proud because this is my team who work closely with you. All right, so for Q&A, one tip, there is some Zoom issues, so please, if anybody has a question, raise your hands and one of the technical teams will unmute you so that you can ask the questions. I have a couple of questions to start with because few people who could not join for some reason, they have sent some early questions. So first question to Marie. Talent is a service provider, and you work with more or less a very regulated customers.
So it's a really good question, and it's been a real benefit, the reporting that we get out of Vin. So in terms of the installation process, we capture each stage of the install through a series of vehicle checks. So there's a total of 7 checks that are completed, and there are different stakeholders internally within Talent that need that reporting. The ambulance, the actual customer, the ambulance radio program needs a set of reporting, and then the trusts need their own set of specific reporting. So one of the things that was a real administration overhead in my team when I started was having to manipulate different sets of data to give each person, the output that they wanted. And one of the things that we've put in place with Vin is a dashboard, which is configurable. So we've got different metrics that are of interest to, different stakeholders. So, things like what are the vehicle type, what was the pass-fail criteria of the vehicle checks, which area were we doing installs in, and I can go into that dashboard, put in filters, manipulate the data, and do an export really easily, in seconds in cases. So that's been really, really powerful for us in using Vin, and definitely wasn't something that we had day one. So does that answer your question?
Yes, perfectly. Thanks, Marie. I would ask Hattie to ask her next question before I ask one of mine, which is pre-asked to me.
Okay, thanks, Vinny. Thank you both for your presentations. Michele, I found it's so impressive, the savings you've managed to achieve there by putting in Vin and the reduced number of people and the amount of travel. Have you managed to change the profile of who you're hiring at all? Because it looks like you've done this brilliant coaching. Has that managed to affect who you're actually hiring from industry?
Yes, definitely. So also the visibility, especially from a different part of the company, right? Because before the people going to site might have been planners, project managers, contract managers, but since it's a metrics organization, they might not necessarily be the ones, defining the hiring strategy and which kind of talent you want to bring on board. So definitely opened up, it increased the visibility through the quality of the inspection, but also what skills do we really need to bring people up to speed in a shorter period of time. And definitely, yes, moving forward, we have worked to change the little bit the job description and the responsibility and the role of the inspectors, and also develop going from a more siloed, discipline driven. So you were hiring, you are just covering civil, you're just covering mechanical, you're just covering electrical, but say no, is we work in a more flexible environment, and actually we cannot afford to have a big team with a lot of people covering, being very specialized. You need to have less people who are more well-rounded and who can master maybe civil and mechanical, who can master mechanical and electrical. We can master maybe all 3 of them. And so create different levels. And instead of driving the organization through disciplines, but really driving them through the type of audits, the risk you want to mitigate, and therefore driving the next wave of hiring that way. So yeah, thank you for asking. It's a very, I did not mention it, but yes, it was part of the overall change in strategy on not only improve the quality standardized, but also looking at cross training and discipline, and you leveraging Vin and the video, as I said, as a wiki, as a training tool. I'm a mechanical. I've never done a civil inspection. I can go in Vin, look for the best civil inspection. I can see how a civil inspection should be conducted. So it becomes also a library for training.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. And sorry, Vinny, I'm just going to cheekily ask one more question. That's quite a big, it's a brilliant outcome, but it's quite a big organizational change. How long were you using Vin for in your organization before you made those resource model changes, essentially?
Yeah, it started slowly. Before my time, when I came, the adoption was low, but also, as it was mentioned, the push from the top management wasn't as strong.
Okay.
We had a reorganization, the management construction change. We had a much more committed leadership with a much stronger push and advocacy for Vin, and everybody started adopting. Plus, all those tricks, as I said, make sure that everybody have to use the application, and basically the adoption just exploded. It became a habit, and that's how basically we made the change.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so timekeeper here. Time to move on to the next topic, which is very
Yes, I
exciting.
think, yeah, that's fine because the other question is also answered based on what Hattie asked. So thank you, Michele.
So let's move on. We're going to introduce Kapil. Our guest of honor is a CEO of Intelligence. Exciting times for us. And he's going to introduce our All-Stars. And go ahead, Kapil. Over to you.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Marie, Michele, very, very heartening to hear your experiences. Congratulations for driving the change, for driving the impact. Just a fun fact, picking up on, how you talked about speed and scale, you talked about better data visibility, and then Michele, the unforeseen advantage that NL has experienced where we never imagined, or at least we didn't imagine that to be an application, right? But that's the power of data, where you could upskill people and you could bring a training perspective. So the fun fact is when we started this business, and I myself come from the field, I've built networks, I've got my hands dirty, as they say. We named the company Human Learning because our whole thesis was that people could share their insights through videos. We can enable a culture of proactive learning. So we've actually proven that. So congratulations. It's just that we find that selling learning applications is very hard. Productivity, as you both, Marie, you and Michele have confirmed today, is perhaps slightly easier. But it couldn't be more heartening for me today here as a co-founder of the business, and for all of us in the Win team to see that is the power of the data, but more interestingly, the ability for people to be creative, right? And come up with new applications. And that's kind of why we are here. So thank you, both of you, for sharing your insights. And I think we are getting into a very exciting phase of this afternoon or morning in the US, where I've been asked to present the Star Winners Awards. Big believer that people in the field, as Marie, you mentioned, time is not to your advantage, resources not to your advantage. You're always fighting against getting things done. So this is our platform to reward, award, and really felicitate star winners who have taken initiative, gone ahead against the tide of change and made things happen. Scaling innovation, delivering game-changing business benefits is not an easy task. So I'd like to invite the first star winner on our digital stage today, Farida Yusuf, water efficiency analyst at Severn Trent Water. Farida, you played an amazing role and you've achieved something which all of us dream of, which is 1 million liters of water saved. And you did it so beautifully by executing customer campaigns at Severn Trent Water through the Water Saving Champions initiative, delivering on your targets every day, relentlessly. So thank you for being a game changer, for adopting Win, for driving Win with your customers and your colleagues, and for scaling it to achieve such a beautiful, sustainable outcome. So, show of hands, congratulations, Farida. And if the panel can unmute Farida, I would love to hear from you. What was it like, and any words of wisdom or experience that you want to share with this forum today? Can we get Farida
Absolutely.
on?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Right. First, I'll start by saying thank you very much for the award. I'm really honored to be receiving this today because to be very frank, the Vin platform has been really productive, especially in my line of trying to get customers to save as much water and also help customers reduce what they use, help them save from leaks and save money in essence. So it's a really good platform. I've really learned from the platform really because from coming from when I used to handle complaints, we used to have a lot of complaints about customers where we've been able to tell them because we've not seen what their issues were. We told them we would be able to resolve it, and then we get there. It turns out it's something we can't fix. So those were really a bit of like complaints coming from there. But ever since handling Vein, where we're able to see what the customers have actually submitted way before we go out, we're able to sort of like set that expectation with the customers, letting them know either we can help or not. So it saves us that bit of customer experience. It helps our customer experience. And it also just helps us saving visits that the customer necessarily doesn't need from us, in a sense. So yeah, no, it's been a really productive platform for me to use, especially in trying to help our customers save water and help them resolve what leaks they have. So I'm really grateful. I'm honored to have been a part of this and also honored to be getting this award.
Thank you, Farida. And there's no doubt that your excitement and energy is driving Severn Trent to the top of the water tables as well in terms of customer satisfaction and customer affordability and customer experience. But again, thank you for your contribution. Next, we have Katia Sosa from EDP Commercial Center of Experience and Efficiency. Katia is a project manager and initiative owner for EDP Commercial. And Katia, you've shown great leadership in implementing and integrating Win. I know it's a very complex environment we were working in with lots of change and lots of external stakeholders, and you kept your calm and you were able to bring everybody together with minimal disruption on day-to-day job of subcontractors that EDP works with, and still get us the leading indicators on the dashboards and the KPIs, so that you create a very beautiful knowledge base, so that we can get high quality on the jobs being done by our subcontractors, and also reduce dissatisfaction with customers. So true game changer, tough environments. Very happy to kind of congratulate you on these awards. Is Katia here? Is Katia here with us today?
I see Nuno is here. Nuno, is Katia?
I am.
Will you be accepting on her behalf?
Okay, no problem. Thank you for your kind words, Kapil. Yes, it was a very challenging environment, and it was a really important work that Vin helped us to do, because, as you know, we work with a lot of external contractors, and it was Vin that made us capable of knowing what kind of interventions and what kind of diagnoses that we were doing in the field. And then we could recollect the information and beginning to know what kind of interventions, because as you know, we cannot be at the same time, in the hundreds and hundreds of interventions every day ADP does at client's home. So we can say now that we have a big sort of interventions that we have collected, and we have a knowledge, and we can say that it was Vin that helped us to set the path, to do the work, and to reduce the interventions that we have to go to our customers' homes and do the job, because now we have gather several informations that on the phone we can help the client to solve by them. So that was the importance of Vin, and to reduce the times that we go to the field to solve the problems.
Thank you, Nuno. Great. And, appreciate that, the whole idea of getting video and AI and short videos in the hands of contractors and the teams in the field and in the back offices to create better visibility. So great to see some fantastic work from your team. And Katia, please
Yes.
pass on our congratulations to her.
Yeah,
Next
yeah,
in
yeah.
line is Jacob Coates,
One
network
second.
decarbonization.
I think Katia is here still. She texted me. I think she's the one that's got E700955, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
If somebody could let her.
congratulations, Katia. Melissa, in the interest of time, we are running out. So if I can just continue, and in the very end, let's bring Katia back in. Jacob Coates, Network Decarbonization Performance Manager at Scottish and Southern Electric Networks. Great leadership, Jacob, on your LCT team. And I know this was the first time the team was looking at a brand new way of engaging with your customers, a new channel, almost like you getting customers to send you short videos of a survey before you go to start work. So amazing savings for your company, both in travel, we've heard that before, and also in creating productivity, but most importantly, getting things done in time for your clients, and some big annual savings numbers in there. So we've absolutely enjoyed that journey. I know it was hard, but getting all the right stakeholders aligned and then getting this out on the ground. So big congratulations, Jacob, and congratulations on your achievement. I think Jacob unfortunately cannot be here with us today, but can I have Karen, if you are here to kind of say a few words on his behalf or on the
Hello, can you
experience.
hear me? Hi, Kapil.
Hi, yeah, Karen, we can hear you very well.
Hello, yeah, thanks for having me. Unfortunately, Jacob can't make it, so I'm sure he would be very pleased to receive this. I know he's spent a lot of effort, time, and hard work alongside Hattie and Vin in creating this amazing tool. So yeah, you've pretty much explained what happens and what it does, but it effectively means that we are able to ask our customers to send in a video of their meter point at home, and therefore assess from a desktop point of view, and therefore save site visits with the engineers. So that's it in a nutshell, but he'll be very, very pleased with this. Thank you so much.
He absolutely deserves it, and I guess the whole team does as well. So many congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Finally, we have Simon Howe, Installation and Design Manager at Talent. Simon, you've been a key leader in implementing and coordinating with your colleagues and clients. We've heard, amazing things already been done in one part of the organization. And recently, you led both design and implementation of the ARP maintenance deployment. You got the team up and running within 3 weeks from the start, which is kind of unheard of in this industry, and over 100 inspections done in the first 6 weeks, giving your clients critical asset visibility. Thank you for being a game changer. Again, I always say, having been in the field myself, it's hard, and big congratulations and achievement. Simon, can I invite you on the stage for a few words, please? Simon, are you here with us?
He was. I believe he must have had to drop off. He was there.
Right. Do we have Katia still?
Sorry, guys. Simon's here. He's just
Oh,
raised
he's
his.
here. He's here.
Perfect. Yep, brilliant. Simon, over to you, and many congratulations. You want to share a few words with us? We can't hear you, Simon, in case you try to speak. I hope he's not been put on mute. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Simon, many congratulations. I'm sure we'll get opportunities to kind of capture your precious words and experience. But that brings us to the end of the program. I'm going to hand it back to Melissa. And Melissa, over to you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you. Yes, Simon mentioned that he couldn't unmute for some reason. So, Hattie, you there? So thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been great to have this session with everybody together. A very good experience. And we look forward, we're running out of time, so we look forward to seeing you in the next session, which will be early on in next year. And we'll share this recording and the learnings with you. Have a wonderful rest of the week.